Okay, this is a bit of an Englishman's guide to Polish London, such as I know it. I'm actually standing in the middle of what you might call the Polish corridor. That is Acton and Woodlands Park in Acton. And you may know that after the war, or during the war, after the war, many Poles were in Kensington, with the government in exile. Many Poles lived in Kensington. But for those after the war, especially who had been soldiers, airmen, looking for work, who had skills, there was work here. And in many places, but here especially, because there were lots of engineering works which needed workers, and so many Polish men came to work as engineers here in Acton. Traditionally a place where they made cars, but all kinds of general engineering connected with the motor trade and other things in engineering. So many worked here, but also this became a place where many Poles lived. But you're talking of a corridor going from Kensington through Acton, through Ealing, going to RAF Northolt and the pilots and the Polish War Memorial. It's a whole, if you like, a whole corridor along the Uxbridge Road going, which many Poles lived around, and many have moved away. Poles live all over England now, but I think you find when people come to this country, or any country initially, they will go to one or two areas where they feel more comfortable, where a few of them are already settled, so they guide the new ones. And that was certainly the case for later on, where you had the generation who grew up here after the war, who came here during the war, and their children who grew up after the war. Then around 2000, when Poland joined the EU, then many more came before and after those years to find work, and many came to Ealing because there was a Polish community here. There were Polish shops, there were Polish community places, Polish churches. So Joanna will tell you about some of those. But this was and is a place where there are many Poles, there are many people from many communities living together, making the best of everything. And even in these difficult times, people helping each other. Thank you.
We are going through Acton, heading for Ealing. On the right is the Acton police station, the grey building in front of us, because now the camera is looking at Horn Lane. That one, yes, it goes north towards North Acton, and a very big redevelopment of Park Royal and Old Oak. Now we are crossing Ealing Common, and on our left, you don't need to move the camera, is Leopold Road, where we were earlier filming the Polish Underground Movement Study Trust. And so Ealing Common, the open ground, many commons, like open ground parks around the country, because originally when these were villages, this was the shared ground for the village, where they had cattle, when some fairs and festivals were held, where they flew kites. So luckily they are now preserved as pockets of green, so important in the urban environment. And heading for Ealing Broadway, we are now approaching one of the churches, Anglican churches, that gave the place, the venue for Polish services after the war. So among this row of houses, there is St. Matthew's Church. So it's an Anglican church, and the Ealing Polish Catholic parish used it for the masses for quite a number of years. between 1967 and 1986.
Now used by South Indians, I think.
Yes.
Last time we went
Yes.
there. Yeah.
On Sunday afternoons, South Indian Christians use this church, St. Matthew's, for their masses. And it's very interesting because their services involved also feast for everybody. I mean, meals are provided in big cauldrons and they are served to people who want to have a meal after the service, which is completely different to what we are used to.
Coffee and biscuits.
Yes, in Anglican churches, that's the tradition, coffee and biscuits. Or tea.
Totally.
So we've arrived in Ealing Broadway and we are traveling along the Mall. And soon we will be stopping in Windsor Road to the left to look at the current Ealing Polish Church. So Polish Roman Catholic Church in Windsor Road was bought in 1984 and consecrated in 1986. In 1989, Lech Wałęsa, the Polish president, attended Mass at this church. And the full name of the church is the Polish Church of the Most Blessed Mary, Mother of the Church. It was built as a Methodist church and was designed by two architects, one of them being Charles Jones, the borough surveyor, who did a lot of good things for Ealing. And during his time, Ealing was described as the
Queen of the suburbs.
Exactly, because it was so pretty, full of greenery, and the air was so fresh. Having mentioned fresh air, there were also clear waters, and earlier on in Acton, in North Acton, there was a spa, and people traveled there, like to later on to other. We have problems with the car. To other spas, Tunbridge Wells, for instance, or Leamington Spa. But, you know, North Acton had its glory and it's preserved in the name of the road there, which is, Tony?
Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Ah, that's him, Wells House Road.
I was more concerned about this guy. Sorry.
I wanted to make it participatory.
Oh, well.
Kiedy przyjdzie dzień, że zawołasz mnie, to ja powiem mojej żonie, ona pójdzie też. To ja powiem mojej żonie, ona pójdzie też. Kiedy przyjdzie dzień, że zawołasz mnie, to ja powiem moim dzieciom, one pobiegną też.